What is up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Financial Coach Jess, and I have been pretty forthcoming about my thoughts on toxic frugality. And you can actually check out these two videos right here that talk all about how being frugal can be toxic and leads to a broken money mindset. But what about minimalism? First of all, I do think that frugality and minimalism are different. Someone might try and use both to save some money or cut expenses, but the root of each is not the same. Minimalists want to own stuff instead of stuff owning them. These are the can't take it with you type of people. Collect memories, not things, whatever. They all have their own little cliche sayings. All jokes aside, I think kept in the right perspective, the heart of minimalism is good. Actually, what spurred this video was I heard someone say very honestly, this sounds bad, but when my parents pass away, I really dread going through all of their stuff. They just have so much and it's going to be a nightmare. And this really was very eye-opening to me and really hit me. Like, what do I want to leave my children and grandchildren? My worst nightmare is to leave them just with a mess of stuff, like literally junk. My vision and my goal is to really leave my children and grandchildren blessings that they can use and that they can bless others with too. And just to have peace, I think, above all. I was so horrified at the thought of just being a burden and having junk piled up that my loved ones would have to sift through and sort and throw away. I mean, literally, like your whole life just summed up in a 1-800-GOT-JUNK dumpster sitting in the driveway. Brandon Turner is a real estate investor and really someone that I look up to in the entrepreneurship world. And here is his plan for his daughter, who is currently 5. When his daughter was born, Brandon and his wife purchased a property that will be worth about $300,000 when his daughter turns 18 years old. Here's the beauty of it though. Brandon structured the loan in such a way that the building, the multi-family property, will actually be completely paid off when she turns 18. To jumpstart her adult life, she will be able to refinance the property, pull the cash out, and be able to use it for college or to start a business or to invest in another property or whatever else that she wants to do. So essentially, with a little planning, a little preparation and creativity, his tenants, Brandon's tenants, are going to be paying for his daughter's college education or future business or whatever else she wants over the next 13 years. Now that she's older, at least a little bit older, she's still just 5 years old, Brandon sits down with her each month and goes over the monthly statement for that particular property. He does this so that she can take part in the process leading up to her 18th birthday. Now, Lord willing, Brandon is not going to pass away when she turns 18, so I know it's not an exact comparison, but do you see the beauty here of him being intentional, thinking ahead, and knowing exactly what he has in store for his daughter, Rosie? Working smarter, not harder, and properly allocating his resources so that she is able to be a part of the process, so she understands and learns about real estate investing before she gets the end result. So we've got that, the Brandon Turner example, compared to just the burden and the junk, and I don't think I have to explain just the overall thoughtlessness and lack of intentionality that we had in the first example. Let's bring all of this back to minimalism. Couple of observations for you. Number one, if you have a broken money mindset, minimalism is not the solution. And this is very similar to my stance with frugal living is toxic. If you think wealth is bad, if you feel guilty when you spend money, if you get a lot of anxiety over going on vacation or buying a new appliance because it's so much money, first of all, you need to watch my 100% free masterclass that is all about your mindset and the 3 things that are keeping you broke. I created this masterclass, 100% free, an hour-long masterclass especially for you. To watch this free masterclass, the link is in the description bar below, where you can also take a look at my program, 12 Weeks to Wealth, where I help college grads get out of debt by taking control of their money instead of money controlling them. I think it's very easy for minimalists to slip into this unhealthy mindset when it comes to money, and they parade around and they virtue signal that we're minimalists and we don't spend any money on stuff, but in reality, their life still revolves around stuff. It's just the act of not spending it instead. It's literally no different from someone who is a shopaholic or someone that is addicted to online shopping. They get a dopamine hit every single time that they buy, but if they don't address the root of the issue, they're on this vicious cycle that I talk about in my free masterclass, where they go on a binge and they'll buy and buy and buy, and then they feel guilty and they feel shameful. So then they'll cut spending altogether and identify as a minimalist, only to then get burnt out and get tired of struggling and striving. So then they binge again and they go online and they spend all their money. Their whole life ends up revolving around buying stuff or not buying stuff, and it's exhausting. For minimalists that have a very negative, unhealthy relationship with money, it's the exact same thing except the opposite. Their entire life revolves around the act of not spending money on stuff, and it's exhausting. I repeat one more time, if you have an unhealthy relationship with money, minimalism is not the solution. It's not going to fix the root of the issue. My second big observation about minimalism is that minimalism needs to have a very tangible purpose. Self-deprivation has no finish line. There's no award at the end of the day for who can buy the least or who can suffer the most. Healthy minimalism needs to have a focus, a very intentional direction. And this is very easy to accomplish. You just have to ask yourself, what is your big why behind minimalism? There are some amazing reasons to be a minimalist, which I'll get to here in a second, but there are also some really damaging reasons to be a minimalist that feed into this unhealthy relationship with money, like we've talked about throughout this video. Here are some examples of those. I want to participate in minimalism because I don't want to be a shopaholic, or I don't want to be addicted to buying stuff. This is not good. We are simply trading one extreme pendulum swing for another, instead of addressing the root issue, which is, why are you afraid of spending uncontrollably, or why are you spending uncontrollably? Instead of just behavior modification, when the root cause is really addressed, I don't think that that person will feel the need to be a minimalist any longer. Of course, they still can for the right reasons, but they won't feel that they need to be a minimalist out of fear. Another example of this would be, I want to be a minimalist because I don't want stuff to control my life. And this is, again, behavior modification. We're not addressing the root issue. We're trading one big pendulum extreme for another. The secret is, if you become a minimalist so that stuff doesn't control your life, stuff is still going to be controlling your life. It's just the absence of it. It's very similar to telling someone, don't think about pink elephants. Don't. Just simply don't do it. Pink elephants aren't even real. They don't exist. But because of all these goofy pictures, and because I've been talking about them for the last 15 seconds, you have no other choice. You have to think about pink elephants. And it's the exact same thing with behavior modification minimalism. If you just spend your entire life telling yourself, don't buy stuff, don't buy stuff, your life is still revolving around the stuff. Instead, get to the root of the issue. Why is buying stuff comforting? Why are you living from one checkout dopamine hit to the next? What are your goals? Here are some healthy reasons to become minimalist, at least at face value. Of course, I don't know everyone's mindset and heart when it comes to money. Number one is ease of travel, and a family that I just recently found and follow now are Jacob and Natasha Moon, and I'll link to their Instagram accounts below. But they converted their Toyota 4Runner so that they can stay in their van and they can hike and camp and travel this way, and they've actually done so for months at a time. But here's the thing, their gear is minimal, but it's not cheap. I mean, in order to have sufficient and efficient gear, it's going to be expensive, especially when they were traveling with their daughter when she was very, very young. You're not going to take a 1-year-old out into the desert and not be 110% prepared. However, I do like the idea of having minimal things when you travel to make life easier. Remember, it's usually not cheaper, but it is easier. Another example of this is the bucket list family who I've actually followed for several years now. And when they started their journey of traveling full time, they actually sold all of their possessions and totally went 100% in. Even now, they live pretty minimally so that they can continue to travel full time. Reason number 2 is pursuing financial independence, retiring early, or the FIRE movement. Just like anything, if taken too far, this can become a very unhealthy obsession, but especially here on YouTube, leaning more minimalist can help you if you are pursuing FIRE. Now, cutting expenses and selling all of your stuff is not really the way to pursue FIRE. Minimalism can be a tool, it can be very helpful while you pursue FIRE, but it's not the end all be all, and it's definitely not going to bring you in an income in order to retire. Some examples of this would be living in a tiny house for a time, living in a converted trailer or an RV, something along those lines for a time while you pursue FIRE. Reason number 3 is pursuing self-sufficiency, and very similar to the FIRE movement, selling all your stuff and practicing minimalism is not going to get you to self-sufficiency, but it can be a helpful tool and it can be a very real life skill. Homesteading, green, sustainable living are all really great goals, and I highly recommend you check out Rob Greenfield here on YouTube if you're interested in pursuing self-sufficiency. Do you see in this video here how minimalism is a tool and not a behavior modification lifestyle? At its very best, minimalism is living intentionally and stewarding what we have well. Please hear me on this, guys. Leaving a house full of junk is not stewarding your stuff well, and it's definitely not living intentionally, but having your entire life revolve around the act of not spending money and not buying stuff is not intentional living and stewarding what you have well either. Remember, the pendulum swings both ways, and minimalism will not fix a broken money mindset. I hope that this video today was really encouraging for you guys. Leave me any questions that you have down below in the comment section about minimalism. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel for the YouTube algorithm, and I'll see you guys in the next one.